was first separated from the military, I was lost. I was completely lost as a human being, as a man, spiritually, physically, and mentally. I had no confidence. I was full of rage and hate for everybody and anything that tried to love me.
He would always say he didn't feel like a man, he didn't deserve to have a family, and he just continued to push everybody away.
I had grown up being a farm boy. I had worked physical labor jobs all my life. I'd always been the man that people looked to for help. I'd always been there in crises. I had always been a great father. I had tried to be a good husband. I had done all these things that, in my mind, a man has to do to measure up.
He exuded anger and frustration and worthlessness and everything negative that you can conjure up inside. That's how he was feeling.
And with the injuries that I had sustained, I could no longer do the things that I wanted to do. I could no longer provide for my family. I could no longer physically love my wife the way I wanted to. I couldn't go out and throw the ball with my son. I couldn't chase my daughters around, and so I felt worthless. I felt like there was no reason for me to be on this earth anymore.
So when he was at one of his lowest points, he actually contemplated suicide. He had a plan, he had a place, and I think when it got to that point and he actually opened up and told me, we knew he needed to get help, but he didn't want to get help in the fact that he was used to being in charge. He was Gunny. He was the one that was supposed to be the strong one. He's the man of the household. He's the provider. Well, all of that was taken away when he was wounded.
Well, there were lots of appointments at the VA. I went down there and went through some psychological and emotional testing and went through some therapy. And I went through a lot of operations, had some physical work done on my body, and slowly but surely we went through it, and we oh God. Slowly but surely, I was able to look within myself with the help of my wife, with the help of my children, and with the help of dear friends that boosted me up when I couldn't boost myself up. And I would just take one step at a time. In the summer of 2008, I was given a chance to go to a inpatient PTSD therapy.
He went and got help in Topeka. And our oldest son graduated. Our oldest daughter went and stayed with a friend. Our two youngest ones went and stayed with their grandparents in Montana. And I deployed to Iraq. And so there was nobody in our house. And that's the way it had to be. Like, for him to get help, he had to be on his own. Like, he couldn't have that rescue net, because if he did, then he would escape. Because going to get help at the Topeka program, we had to pick a program that was far enough away that he couldn't just get in his car and come back home. Because that's not an easy thing. I can't even imagine going and confronting all your demons, because that's really what they are.
It was a huge part of my life. It turned it around.
I did notice it changed because they gave him some tools to work, but it still takes a lot of work. And he still wasn't, it's not like you go to that program and voila, you're healed, because it's not. It still took a lot of work, and he still had a lot of anger and frustration, and so we worked through that. But then he was invited to go fly fishing. I
had difficulty making a decision of whether I wanted to go, because when I was, prior to being wounded, I was an avid fly fisherman and I was pretty good at it. And I didn't want to go and fail at one more thing. But my wife talked me into it. I got on that plane and went, and it was absolutely the greatest week of my life. I found myself, I was able to fly fish again, not with the talent that I had before, but I had the same joy in it that I did before. And that was the most important thing, was I found something that I could do without anybody else helping me. And so I felt successful for the first time since I was wounded. The river for me is actually the most soothing part of the outdoor activities. It just provides a calming effect, not just physically, and it does, it's like being in a whirlpool, but just emotionally and spiritually. There's a renewed freshness about this water rushing by you. It just gives me an inner strength and gives me hope that nothing else really does. Well, fly fishing isn't really a sport, it's an art form, and it's a difficult art form to learn. So although it provides a great entertainment and a great time out in the wild, it's also a chance for a veteran who has come back and has been totally disabled and believes in his heart that he can't do anything new, that he can't accomplish anything, that you can go out there and you can learn something, that you can learn how to catch these fish, you can learn how to read the water, you can learn how to handle the fly rod reel properly. When you learn that, it gives you hope for other aspects of your life, that you can, again, be a good father, a good husband, a good wife, a good mother, that you can do all these things that you, the VA, and anybody else has convinced you no longer can do.
We can continue to fight that into the main hole if need be.
That's the biggest change that I had seen in him in several years. It's like it opened up a part of him that he used to be. I know growing up, he used to fly fish with his father, and that was something that brought him a lot of joy, and he was very good at. And so I think being able to go fly fishing, it reminded him obviously of when he was younger, but it also let him know that he could do something again, like he could just do some of the physical things again that he hasn't been able to do.
When I got on the airplane to fly home from Sun Valley, Idaho, I knew instantly that there was a reason why, even though I passed away twice after being wounded, that I was alive. And not only to be a father, not only to be a husband and a son and all that other good stuff, but I was alive to help other people. And I realized that I could help other people. So I decided that I wanted to start my own fly fishing program so I could not only share the love of fly fishing, but share the way that it helped me heal.
I really saw a really big change in him, and he started smiling, and he started being more interactive with people because he really had become quite a recluse. I think the turning point was, other people saw his potential, and one of the guys that went on that fly fishing trip with him reached out to him and talked to him about they needed a guide or they needed somebody to help with their program. It was in Healing Waters. And so he was asked if he would help with that. And so he started helping with that. And I started noticing a big change, almost like when he was in the military. He could be a gunny again, so he could be a leader again. He could show people the ropes. And so he had already gone through that personal hell. And I feel like he wanted to help others get out of their living hell and maybe bring them some joy because it brought him some joy.
It took a few years for me to get the money together and put everything together, but in 2013, I started a local chapter in Dallas-Fort Worth. It was part of Project Healing Waters, and we started that, and we were successful at that for a couple of years. And then I decided that I did not want to be a part of a national brand, but I wanted to have something that was just local, and we just took care of local North Texas veterans, and we've been doing that since 2015. It's been a great healing adventure for me more than anybody. I get a lot of kudos because since 2013, we've taken over 1,600 veterans fly fishing. But the person who's benefited the most from me, in all honesty, is me. As I help every individual brother or sister with their healing process, it helps me with my healing process.
The biggest thing I would say is don't give up. That they are the same person. You just have to find that person. Know that they do love you. They just don't know how to love themselves. And when someone can't love themselves, it makes it really difficult to love somebody else. A lot of times, especially with PTSD, they are going to try to push you away because they don't feel worthy of you. They don't feel worthy of the love.
I will tell you one thing, I think it's maybe the most important message that I have for our veterans out there, especially our wounded and sick veterans, is when we come back, we're given these opportunities with the VA and with our own military services to heal. But in the end, healing is a personal responsibility. And that responsibility is huge. And even though it seems daunting at times and it seems something that can't happen, if you break it down and take it day by day, sometimes hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute, you can do it. You can take that step. And you have to take that step. There are people dependent on you. We weren't put on this earth to sit on a couch or lay around and do nothing and complain about what we have. We're put on this earth to produce. We're put on this earth to make things happen. And no matter how badly wounded you are, once the recovery process starts, really the only thing that I've seen in the veteran community more often than not, what stops a veteran from succeeding, what stops a veteran from climbing to that next plateau that they want to, is themselves and nobody else.
I was down below the bridge fishing, and they say, Jim, go under the bridge and into this hole right here. Lou earlier caught some nice browns in there. And I said, okay, I'll do that. So I'm walking around, I get under the bridge, these two are up on top of the bridge, and they say, cross right here, Jim, this is a good place to cross. So I'm going there, and the water's going pretty quick, right? I said, okay, I got this. And they said, like, they're egging me on, so I know something's up, right? You know? So I get in there, I get in the water, and all of a sudden, I lose my slippery, and I go, boom! And I hear them laughing, and then I'm starting to go under the water, under the bridge, and all of a sudden I hear, oh shit! All of a sudden they come around and they save me. So that's what happened today. It's crazy.
It was so awesome, because as he's recording it,
Don't do
it's like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Oh, you're with
Jim's
that
over here
shit.
like slow motion matrix, moving around. He dives in the water. We run to the backside, jump off the high end.
Getting people on
Like,
fish and feeling good about
something, right?
themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. It was good. It was a great day out on the water.
Great day out on the water.
Cheers to brotherhood.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
For more information, check us out on our social media pages or go to warriorsonthefly.com.